7 sequel Jurassic Park, one at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And today we're here to discuss minute 56 of The Lost World. And a little bit past the shooting of Jurassic, or Fallen Kingdom on Hawaii, but we're still getting some lovely set photos coming out of there of some of the sets they built. This case, we got some photos from Real News of the bunkers that were being used on set, particularly the one with the half a antenna or radio antenna behind, which is just great to see. Like, there's no real spoilers here. Just the concrete bunkers with the some inside shots, and just that wooden framework again. How they've made seemingly a concrete set out of timber, just to fool the eye of the screen watcher, the film watcher. And even like the antenna on the hill just behind it. It's only the bottom quarter of it because the rest is going to be added in CG. I'm pretty sure I was sure they mentioned that that's the same radio antenna they used for Lost, that had been left on site after Lost filmed. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. But even it's got some decent anchor points. It's got chain and everything holding it down, so it's made to last in the elements.
They do get some bad elements there, of course.
I wonder too, because yes, they're shooting on Kahlua Ranch over there, so everything looks the same, but I wonder if they're going to use because it's clearly set up on the side of the hill where you got that lovely view over Gallimimus Valley. I wonder if that's going to mean that it might have been possible to see it when Grant and the kids were running away from the Gallimimus in Jurassic Park, or if we're too much out of the screen here.
It is a big valley, no?
Yeah.
I mean, they've used multiple, and we've talked about this. They've used multiple films in this one big valley here.
Yeah, well, I just seen Kong the other day and got to see it all again, and the latest Jumanji trailer just come out, and of course we get to see it all again there. So yeah, it is a very popular filmed area. So
yeah, I've even seen it used in commercials. There's a joint medication commercial. They used it. You can see the valley in the background in the commercial. There's a woman's hiking in Oahu, and you can see that's where she's hiking at in this Jurassic Valley here.
Yep. No, it's a beautiful area. So get more of it on the film.
It's only a matter of time before this lost world is found and pillaged.
We have we got one question coming from at Robbie A Sheets free on Twitter that we'll sort of answer more when we get to this section of the movie. But he's sort of asked a question which comes up a lot. Whatever happened to Nick Van Owen at the end of the film, when we see sort of the helicopter, Ian and Sarah head to San Diego, but he doesn't. And we probably talk about more when we get there, but sort of just when they reshot, he was no longer needed. I'm sure if Eddie survived the island as well, we probably wouldn't have seen him at the end either.
Oh, personally, I like to think that he got arrested just for all the misery he caused on Isla Sorna. I think another question that goes unasked, and we'll get to that when we get to this minute, is where is he when the raptors are running around? You know, I mean, what, did he just hide under a desk or what?
Well, it's probably the way it's filmed too. Like, we clearly see him go in, send the radio call, and then it cuts to Ian and the team coming into the village, where it's possible that while he's making that call, that's when Ian and the team come in. It might be it's filmed separately, but it might be happening at the same time. Because he sort of doesn't appear until after Sarah rolls out through the window. By that time, there's been plenty of commotion outside, with no sort of being a abandoned area. You wouldn't think there'd be too much ambient noise, so he'd be able to hear the Ian getting pushed through the gas station window, or raptors busting down doors.
Yeah, it's not like there's any kind of like soundtrack going on in the background. You know?
Yeah, and as we've seen too from the front of the operations building, a lot of those windows are broken, so there's there'll be no sound barrier there.
No.
And it's on the same set, so again, but we can get to that when we get there. I love there's a fan theory going around at the moment that Nick actually got onto the boat and he's the one that killed everyone, just to try and stop the T-Rex from getting to the island.
I have heard that theory actually. That he was the real villain who just slaughtered everybody on the boat.
Yeah,
With hands hanging on a wheel.
Yeah, I think it was the guys at the Jurassic Cast podcast where I first heard it, but yeah, just going that one step further, he realises that the T-Rex is on a boat and he sort of either parachutes from a helicopter or takes a little dinghy out and gets on board. But we'll get to that when we get there. There's some issues there and all that.
Sarah! 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 Sarah Harding!
How many Sarahs do you think are on this island?
Sarah! Sit!
Apart from that, not much news. So if you're ready, Dave, we'll get into 56.
All right.
As we enter minute 55 of the Lost World, two devastating impacts by the T-Rex had rolled the trailer onto its roof. With another two good pushes, the trailer was now sliding dangerously close to the cliff's edge. As we start minute 56, we cut back inside the trailer as Ian realises they're pushing us over the cliff. At 55 minutes and 4 seconds we cut to the front of the trailers as the T-Rex blow out the front windscreen, glass shattering everywhere. The impact lifts the front of the trailers off the ground and it slides back even further, starting to jackknife. At 55 minutes and 10 seconds the T-Rex roars again. Nick runs to the side door and tries to open it, but it won't move. It's jammed from when the initial impact of the T-Rex. Ian joins him and they both struggle to open the door, but it won't budge. At 55 minutes and 20 seconds another impact sends the trailer sliding further towards the cliff's edge. At 55 minutes and 25 seconds Nick yells to hang on to something. Ian repeats it as we get an exterior view looking down at the cliff's edge as the trailer sliding out and over. At 55 minutes and 33 seconds the trailer slams into the cliff wall, the impact breaking the rear door away from its mounts, and falls off towards the ocean below. At 55 minutes and 36 seconds we cut back to the interior of the trailer. The three humans are hanging on for all their life as debris falls and lands on the back window. At 55 minutes and 40 seconds the fridge door that Sarah's holding onto opens and she falls the length of the trailer and slams into the glass window at the base. At 55 minutes and 54 seconds we get a shot from the other side of the glass. Raindrops patter on the window around her. Large cracks begin to form and we can hear the glass cracking. Sarah's slowly beginning to realise the danger she's in. And this ends minute 56 of The Lost World. As we seen last week, last minute, the trailers had been, or the rear trailer had been rolled onto its roof and the Tyrannosaurs were pushing it, well, we assumed the Tyrannosaurs were pushing it towards the cliff's edge. We had that reveal that this has sort of got a bit more dangerous than just tossing and turning around inside the trailer. We're actually going towards the cliff's edge. We cut inside and Ian says they're pushing us over the cliff. Sarah's like that stunned look on her face, oh my god. As the sort of the intensity of the situation sort of hits home. We cut to the front of the trails here as the windscreen bursts out into 100 pieces of glass and both heads are there.
And that was actually a feature on the toy, wasn't it?
Yep. The whole front window come off.
Yeah.
You could actually use your Thrasher T-Rex and grab the light bar up on top of the roof and rip it off, which was a great little touch.
Yeah, I remember that being part of the commercial that they had for the whole command center and Thrasher T-Rex and stuff.
I'm pretty sure there was a button mechanism there too. When that come off, there was a sound effect that played through the sound box.
Yeah, there was. What was it, a T-Rex roar or an alarm? Or?
I think the alarm was on the fence, where the fence attached to the side of the... Yeah, so it possibly was a roar.
I think it might have been.
Yeah, I'd have to get mine out of its box. But yeah, sort of both windows sort of burst open, and we get a cut to the side of the trailer, front trailer, lower down, and like the impact completely lifts the front of the trailer off the ground, and the whole thing sort of lurched backwards and bounces a bit too, which it was just a great little effect here. I don't know if they had a forklift or a rigging on the front of the trailer to sort of pick it up and drop it again, but it definitely looked good, and it sort of shunted it back towards the cliff that bit further.
To be honest, I wouldn't doubt that it was the actual animatronics themselves pushing it. I mean, you gotta remember, these things are capable of high horsepower, so...
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I remember when we mentioned a couple of minutes ago where the adults turn up and sort of nudge the trailer with their heads or their snouts, whether or not there was a sort of a lift system underneath the trailer to make it rock, or if they actually just hit the trailer with their noses. Well, I don't know how the rubber or the skin would take that sort of impact. And again, if they had it set too high, it'd probably push straight through the trailer wall. But
if I recall, there was the crew on San Winston Studios just let the two animatronics have at it.
Yeah, okay. I wish we had something like that on tape. Just see these big animatronics actually just hitting the front of this trailer.
Mhm.
Because even with the glass, like there must be some sort of movie glass or something. It might even be CG, I don't know, but just the way it explodes inwards.
It was definitely movie glass. What they use for movie glass a lot of times is, interestingly enough, rock candy.
Okay.
They make a sheet of rock candy, nice and crystal clear, and then it's just safe to have. You know, it's like a safety, fake safety glass or something.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's the last thing you want's real glass on a set with actors, because it goes everywhere. But
mm-hmm. And then we see in a later minute when Eddie comes to rescue them, we see him put his hand on the
Oh yeah. Yeah, his hand goes on the seal, then he sort of kneels and crawls across the dashboard where all the supposed glass is sitting, and it's just, how is none of this digging in?
Yeah, really.
Yep. But we cut back inside, and Nick was at the door, or near the door, when it started to roll, and he's back here again and trying to push on it, but it's... Now, the door never went under. The trailer rolled the opposite way of the door, so I'm assuming with some sort of power cut or security device, the door's been locked.
No. What it was is that's actually where the T-Rexes hit the trailer.
Okay.
Because that's what Nick says when he's pushing through the door. He says, "This is where they hit." Excuse me. This is where they hit us, Ian.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why it doesn't open. Okay.
Yeah, so it's all bent up and mangled and damaged on the outside, I imagine.
It would probably explain why. It'd probably explain why it moves, like it flexes so much too when Ian starts pushing on it, because it's sort of the structure of the door's been damaged.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's alright, because I know, because the trailer rolls the opposite way of that door, so I know it didn't go underneath and come back up again, which is why there's no mud on the window. But yeah, it's just handy having that script and seeing what they actually say.
Mm-hmm.
But Ian sort of, let's get out of here, straight into the woods. But door won't open. Ian sort of, come on. And then you get the line, yeah, Nick, this is where they hit us, Ian. And then we get a little goof here, or an issue. Nick's sort of still pushing on the door. Ian takes a step back and gives the door a hard kick with his boot. And the spot where he kicks is actually right on top of Vince Vaughn's hand. And as a trooper, he just keeps on acting through it, which you just imagine 6-7 foot tall Jeff Goldblum giving the door a good kick, and your hand being stuck under it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Vince Vaughn's no lightweight himself. He's one of the biggest guys in Hollywood. So.
Yep. But it's just great. Like, it's a little blink and you miss it. But the fact that he sort of kept on going and finished his lines, finished putting on it. But then we cut back outside the trailers as they move again. They sort of straighten up a little bit in that first impact where the T-Rex broke the window out. They sort of started to jackknife a bit, but they've sort of come straight again now. And we get a great aerial shot here, which sort of up above the trailer. revealing the coast and the drop-off as the trailer approaches the edge. And we cut back in. Nick's hold on to something. Ian repeats it. And we cut again to the outside, lower down as the trailer goes over the cliff. A very CG-looking trailer. Swings over and slams into the cliff wall, and the impact breaks the rear door off, as we said earlier, off its hinges, and it sort of falls away to the ocean below. This would have been sort of the transition. Oh no, because the whole trailer at night would have been on the set. It would have been at Patrick's Point, would it?
No. I was just about to say is that, and the funny thing is at Patrick's Point, that parking garage is not a sheer cliff. It's a pretty steep slope. You'd probably break a leg or an arm, maybe worse if you fell down it, but it's not a sheer cliff at all. Yeah,
I remember you saying that when we were setting up camp, just the fact that it's sort of just a steep hill going down. Is there a beach at the bottom, or does the hill go to the water's edge?
No, the hill goes pretty much to the water's edge where the rocks are.
Yep.
There's some pretty big rocks there where the seals, you can see seals swimming in and out of the surf, but yeah, it's not a sheer cliff at all. It's just a bit of clever Spielberg movie magic.
Yep. And this, of course, is the car park at Universal Studios where they sort of remade the camp set on top of. Had a couple of cranes there they could use to lift the trailer section over the side. With the impact of it hitting the wall, there's no way I don't think they could have done that practically.
No. And
have everyone inside still holding on to what they're holding on to, because we cut back inside and Sarah's got a hold of the fridge door, which in the pre-San Diego script, the door's sort of held on with one of those RV latches that sort of stops it from opening itself if you're driving down the road, but that comes loose. But here the door sort of opens. It's interesting. Ian's sort of pretty much right below the fridge in the doorway, and Nick's over at the radio console. But we cut to the door opening and Sarah starting her fall, and Ian's nowhere to be seen. Because you can see Ian's got his hands on the bottom of the fridge just before the fridge door opens. And so it's sort of hard to keep track of who's where here, because it's a bit dark in there, but
it's dark and everything's like upside down.
Yeah, because we cut
upside down and sideways.
Yeah. But one interesting thing is too, when we cut to Sarah screaming and falling, we also get a look up at the accordion connector at the top of the trailer, which you can clearly see is twisted shut, which it should be. But we lose that later on, so it sort of makes you wonder why they struggled so much to try and get out of the door when they could have got to the front trailer. But we get that shot up through the glass at the bottom of the trailer as Sarah falls, because the fridge door sort of opens it. It's hard to see in the dark here, but you can see the dark shape of Ian sort of standing in the doorway on the counter where Kelly was making breakfast earlier. Nick's sort of at the top of the trailer over against the communications equipment, using one of the fixed chairs that's bolted to the ground to stand on. But like the main thing we're focused on here is Sarah falling and hits the glass hard at the bottom of the trailer.
Which must mean that the glass is tempered in some way, because if it wasn't, it would have shattered right away with her falling on it. You know?
Well, yeah. Whether it might be laminated, it might have a laminate on it, but then later when it does break, it sort of just all shatters and falls away in pieces. So again, movie glass. But it is a great effect. We won't get to see it until the next minute, but just the way they CG'd that cracking.
Yeah.
Which I believe they filmed it, then played it in reverse. When they done the cracks, they actually had the cracks how they wanted it, and then had them slowly start to recede or retract back into where her hands and knees are, where the weight's pushing down on it.
Yeah, and I think wasn't it that they digitally erased the cracks?
That might be it. I know it was definitely CG, and something was done backwards. It's sort of hard. You look at the behind the scenes, or it's hard. You look at the behind the scenes stuff, and a lot of the time they sort of they'll start to talk about it for a couple of seconds, and all of a sudden it'll skip to something else, and it'll be like, no, wait, go back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how you done the rest of it. But it's sort of at that time, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff was more promotional stuff anyway, and didn't want to show spoilers.
Yeah.
For the film, even though it come out on the DVD when you already had the film in hand. But Nick yells out her name, and he's back up at the very top of the trailer now, so he's climbed up a little bit since she fell, and we sort of get a breath of relief out of Sarah as she sort of comes to again on the glass, and we get that nice fogging of the glass as her face is lying against it, which again is sort of showing how cold it is on set.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with all the water falling outside, like that'd be wet. She'd be wet from when she opened the door, but and then we can clearly see Nick and Ian are standing next to each other at the top of the trailer. So this must have been filmed over a couple of different times, and they didn't really keep the continuity going with where people were standing.
Yeah, this was definitely shot over a couple days, I think, or at least a couple hours.
And it's possible there's little stuff in between here that's been cut to where they've just been moving around trying to find better footholds and that sort of stuff too. You don't really want to, now the action started, you don't really want to slow it down any.
Yeah,
keep the pace going.
Mm-hmm.
But then
speaking of action, it's funny that you should mention that the accordion is shut, because that's actually brought up in the novel.
Mm.
During the scene is when they go to climb up the when the T-Rexes throw the back end of the trailer off the cliff. They go to climb up on the inside, and the accordion is shut, so they have to climb out the broken window and then climb up the underside of the trailer.
Yeah. In the novel, it's actually the front section of the trailer that goes over the cliff.
Oh,
which, yeah, the front goes over.
I always thought it was the back for some reason.
Yeah. No, because the back's got the lab equipment in it, and that's sort of used as a safe place after the attack before the before the raptors turn up.
Yeah.
Because they climb out the front windscreen and up onto the undercarriage to climb up. But when the trailer goes over the cliff, it's Sarah. Ian's sort of bent over a table leg. He's mumbling, the lights got to turn the lights back on because that's what stopped the Rexes from attacking earlier. And tells her there's a switch panel at the accordion, and she climbs up and can't get to that front trailer to the rear trailer where the switch panel is to turn the generators and the lights back on. So then they've got to climb out the front of the trailer, which again would have been a great shot, sort of hanging how many feet in the air over this cliff, and then climb up the undercarriage and to safety. But it would also sort of explain too, because Fawn does turn up with the Jeep and hook the winch up to the rear trailer to stop it going over. But the way we got it here, where you got the larger trailer, the rear trailer hanging over the cliff shouldn't really pull it on its own over the cliff because you've got more weight up on top. And as we see later too, it's in park or in gear because the wheels aren't spinning freely. It's actually dragging itself through the mud. But the trailer's got to go over the cliff, so it's a high heel debate.
But yeah, it's like you said, it's actually Sarah who saves Ian instead of Ian that saves Sarah in the novel.
Yeah, well, no Lucky Pack too, which we'll come into it in a bit, but yeah, and it's needed for what Spielberg has in mind for the end of this sequence with the trailer falling and then falling through it. There's no way you could do that with the connector closed. It's also odd too because I think in the novel as well, the connector isn't actually what is holding the two trailers together. There's like a trailer hitch at the bottom, just like you would on a truck and trailer or sort of thing, and then you've just got the connector going around it like a train just to keep the elements out of that middle section. So for it to go over like it has, it would have had to have probably snapped that trailer hitch off. Otherwise, the trailer would be kicked up on an angle because the hitch would be going up to the top of the front section. And it's only really in the actual trailer they built. You can see now where there's like the framework around inside that connector for all the ropes and pulleys and stunt harnesses and that to hang off while the trail was hanging over the cliff. But we'll get to that in a couple more minutes' time.
Mm-hmm.
We get a couple of times here where the camera's sort of on the bottom side of the window, and you got the rain coming through the connector, which again in the novel is sort of a sign of the connector's beginning to tear, and the trail's going to drop away from the other section. Again, the only way that'd happen is if the trailer hitch was broken, but I just love that sound, the water dripping down on the inside of the glass, that tap, tap, tap as it's sort of coming down inside the trailer. And we get a slow zoom in here on Sarah's face as she breathes again. We get the fogging up, and you can just start to hear that cracking sound of the glass beginning to break. But it sort of starts to build that suspense up here that we get into in 57.
Yep.
Well, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff here, photos and that of the tracks and the RVs on the parking structure that we can start posting up to sort of show you how it all sort of played out. Dave, anything else on 56 you want to bring up?
I just want to make a quick mention that this scene that we have here, the Sarah on the glass scene, is actually what inspired a lot of Trevorrow's more tenser moments in Jurassic World. Trevorrow said that the tenseness of the scene was a big influence on him.
Yep.
For those parts.
And it was just great hearing that he he didn't just look at Jurassic Park for inspiration for Jurassic World. He sort of had a look at the other films and sort of took some ideas from there as well, which is great. Well, that's it for 56, and we'll talk to you all later.
All right, guys, let's get the hell out of here.
Contact details are on the website, thelostworldminute.com. You can email feedback to thelostworldminute@gmail.com, Facebook, The Lost World Minute, Twitter @The Lost World Minute, and Instagram, The Lost World Minute.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, very easy to remember. Right. David, thank you for joining me for this record.
Welcome.
And we'll be back. I've been Brad.
I'm Dave.
And we'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way.